All right, guys. Yo, welcome back to the Sobriety University podcast. Really excited for this one. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and it's overcoming trauma. We have a couple guys here today, Bentley and Allie. Thank you guys for coming on today. Really excited to have this
Hey,
conversation with you.
thanks.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
we're going to be diving into trauma. Yeah, trauma, how to overcome it. I know, Bentley, you've had some experience with depression as well. And in the confines of addiction, mental health is a big part of it. And depression, I think anyone who has ever quit a habit that isn't helpful goes through a stage of depression, because it just hurts. So let's just dive right in as we always do. Bentley, can you start us off by sharing your story and how you
Sure.
got into trauma recovery?
Yeah. So my story goes back. Obviously, I think I'm probably the older guy in the group. So had a pretty good, successful life when I was younger. Used to drag race. I had a trucking company. So life was fun, good, and easy. And through the course of work with the trucking company, I always did specialized stuff, hauled very big, massive, oversized equipment and whatnot. And I was in a very remote region. Oh goodness, real specifics, but I was in a remote region and had a car that lost control, and I hit them head on. So I was approximately 100,000 pounds. Car was about 3,000 pounds. Pretty sure you can do the math. So, and being in the remote region that we were, it was well over an hour before rescue services ever got there. So I was alone with them, with the victims, with all of this for that long. So it was a pretty serious, I went from living like, I was literally the king of my life to, reality right there in front of me. So very tragic loss. And then with that, a lot of responsibility, lawsuits, all that kind of crap that comes along with stuff like that. Just everybody covering their butt. So I was hung out to dry. And, so naturally there's a lot of trauma comes from that. You go from literally being the king of the world to, losing your world and feeling like the entire world is coming down on you. So that was the beginning of, that was the trauma that kind of led to the depression. And, I went through probably a good 20 years to really recover and get through that. There were some ups and downs through there, but all in all, it really took 20 years to come through completely out the other side to finally conquer it. So,
Well, thank you for sharing that, Bentley. That's I'm sorry that happened, and I'm just happy that you're here today and you went through it. And not a pity sorry, but just it's
yeah.
just life happens, and I'm really looking forward to diving into how you overcame it. So we have Kevin that just hopped in. So what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, guys. How's my mic coming in? This one can be sensitive at times. Does it sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry it took so long. I just got a new PC because my other one, as soon as I got a 3-screen setup, Karma stepped in for some reason and my motherboard went bad. So I had to buy a new one. So I'm getting everything set up on that. But it was time to upgrade anyways. The one I have was about 10 years old, that Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. So finally I just got it pre-built and starting from scratch. But other than that, man, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Really good.
We're doing good.
Good.
Doing good. And we're just kind of diving into Bentley's story here a little bit. I think you heard a little bit about it.
I did.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So transitioning back, Bentley, like how did you begin that recovery process?
Well, it was a long road, and made a lot of mistakes along the way through it. But one of the biggest things I know when you put out the call for topics and ideas, one of the biggest things that I learned that a lot of people have a very hard time with and a real challenging time when it comes to sobriety, kicking substances. I've got family members who have done that and gone through it. I haven't had that problem myself, but like I said, the trauma and coming through that. One of the hardest things most people have is you feel so alone, and it's that crossing that barrier to put that aside and reach out for help and talk to people. That's one of the biggest things, to try to find yourself somebody that you can actually have a conversation with, that you can open up and put it down, and that trying to find that person that or that group of people that you can have those literally unchained conversations and just literally let it all out. So that's above all one of the biggest things.
And when did you start that? Because I know I know for me, like it took me a long time to start being willing to talk about the things I was going through.
Yeah. Well, I went naturally, of course, with everything that went on. So there was a lot of evaluations and whatnot that went on, and I actually was put into group therapy with some former military guys. It was actually the original version or the original round of the Iraq War. So I was in group therapy with some of the soldiers that came back from that, and even talking with them, they going through the stuff and whatnot. They were like, you kind of got a little bit of a different level of stuff than us. We signed up to be soldiers. We went, we volunteered and signed up to go and do this. You were just doing your job and it happened and you're going to live with the consequences. So, there was a little bit there that kind of made it a little harder. Because I still, even though I was in a group, I still felt like I was a bit of an outcast. And so that was probably one of the things that helped lubricate the slide, so to speak, that let me slide down into that depression as deep as I got. And then it's just been a series of, learning to love myself and forgive myself for something I didn't really do. Like I wasn't at fault. I was never charged with anything. Got sued my ass off, but that's what insurance is for. But insurance, they tried to throw me under the bus, of course, because they wanted to protect themselves, which is always the name of the game. So, the biggest thing was just accepting that this happened to me, but I have a choice in this. And my choice is I can be a victim or I can be a survivor.
Yeah.
And I just decided I was no longer going to be a victim. It happened to me, but it also happened for me. It gave me a lot of strength. Like people try to rattle me and I just literally laugh at them. It's hilarious. Like you really think you can rattle my psyche with the shit that I've been through? I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Good luck. So,
I know that laugh at the laugh
yeah.
of like, yeah.
What do you really think you're going to do to me? You can't take me to places that I haven't already been. And then for me, actually, one of the biggest things was a few years ago. Like it's been the last couple of years has really been the largest change for me. But a couple of years ago, I actually helped a friend who was a guy that became a friend he was on the edge of the wall. He was ready to go. He pretty much had resigned himself to that choice. And we had a long conversation and I brought him back and it's been a big building bonding brotherhood since then. Right. So I realized that, I probably would have known what to say and how to say it and how to be there for him if I hadn't gone through what I went through. So
Right.
as much of a bitch as it was, on the other hand, it gave me the gift to go through it with him and help him. And that's ultimately, that was okay, there's a reason. And so, yeah.
That's so powerful, man. Like, like I find too nowadays that the people I connect with most are people that have gone through some shit. It is difficult to connect with someone that has that kind of, has had that perfect cookie cutter life, and it's power to them. That's like I think what everyone secretly wants. But I know I relate to the most to people that are, have gone through the ringer. So, Kevin and Allie, I'm curious for you guys too. Have there been any, really big moments in your life that you can remember that were traumatic and that you really had to work through and kind of find that acceptance?
Well, for me, and how I could relate to Bentley's story when he's talking, I think, as men, especially growing up in our generation, we're both, Gen X, we're kind of some of the old, we grew up in a world where, as boys, men, you just sucked it up, you drove on, you weren't supposed to show emotion, you weren't supposed to be willing to be vulnerable, especially with somebody you didn't know, so I mean that's a lot of things. And something he said, it's getting to the point where you want to talk to somebody or finding that somebody that you can talk to that's gonna not give you the how did that make you feel type reaction to them, like paid mental health experts. As far as me personally, I can say that I haven't went through anything that put me down in the gutters, made me hit rock bottom. When I was younger, before I joined the military and moved on with my life, got the hell out of Panama City Beach, Florida. I did struggle with addiction, designer type drugs, that kind of stuff. But, the military was my reason to quit all that stuff and leave it behind. I can only imagine what would have happened if I would have stayed in Panama City, because if you're anywhere familiar with it, back in those days, now it's kind of not what it was then, but it was a party town. A lot of college kids came down for spring break, and sometimes our Tuesday nights would be better than most people's New Year's. So it was really easy to fall into the trap, because it starts with smoking weed, and then it turns into snorting cocaine, and then it goes to ecstasy, and then then it piles on. And I got friends that are my age that are still living the same, but meth is pretty much all they can afford, all they can get their hands on, but they're still stuck in that rut. I'd love to be able to go back and help them, but I'm a firm believer, unless they want to help themselves, so I got out of that, but I've been to war twice, 03, 04 Fallujah, 06, 07 Mosul. Now, I wasn't a shooter, and I don't pretend to be one. I was logistics all my time, active duty. Now, 03, 04 Fallujah, we did see some stuff, but when the war first kicked off, I can't compare my experiences for the guys that were kicking indoors, getting shot at on a daily basis, not getting mortared on the base we were at. But I know that's probably more than the average person went through. But then 06, 07 Mosul was totally different. But I do have the life experiences, as most guys. I've been through a divorce. I found that out 2 months before I came home on my second deployment, that my wife was leaving. One thing that made that easy is we didn't have kids. The marriage, we had been together since I was 17, she was 16. It was more of a roommate type situation. And it makes me a firm believer as men, get your life together before you get married, because the high school sweetheart thing, it works out for a lot of people and great for them, but for most it's not. But those are the people that when they get my age, they're bitter at the one. And then since we didn't have kids, we both had careers. She wasn't able to take me through the ringers. So I don't even have that experience. I'm one of the lucky guys to say, I got the house, I got the boat, I got the, she basically got to fill her truck up with her stuff and get out of my house. But, I got all the debt that came along with it as well, and lost her income. So it was, it was a trying time, but it was a great learning experience for me as well. I hear the horror stories about the guys that go through divorce and they come home with $7 in their bank account. The wife takes everything. And back in those days, the judges, they always sided with the women. It's not like that anymore around here, but I saw some guys that really had to be on suicide watch because of not what happened to them in Iraq or Afghanistan, but what they came home to find out the wife was sleeping half of Fayetteville, taking all his money, spending it. One guy came home, his ex-wife now had turned one of their spare bedrooms into a closet for all the clothes she had bought while he was gone. And guys are young, stupid, power of attorney. I can trust my wife, and find out they couldn't. But I can honestly say that, I've had some ups and downs in life, but I've never had something that kicked me to rock bottom, knock on wood. But a big reason why I wanted to be a part of this is so I can hear other guys' experience. So if I ever encounter someone else that has those, the way you came through it, who helped you, so I can be a beacon of help as well. Because, like I said in the very beginning, as men, we're taught not to show our feelings, to not get emotional. We don't talk to people. And, and I think there's some pros and cons of both, because if you show your emotions too much, sometimes you learn to depend on the help that you get. And then that becomes more of an addiction than actually bettering yourself. You know what I mean?
Wow. 100%.
And I've seen a lot of guys like that, guys and girls. But that's why, the saying is true. Women make decisions based on emotion and feelings, and most men make decisions based on logic. And I think that's a great dynamic.
Yes. Yeah. And we just had a podcast on this the other day on mental masturbation. And that kind of ties really well into it. Like the searching for help becomes a bit of a compulsion. And then you find the people with so much knowledge, but they just haven't gone out there and implemented any of it. And I was like that for a long time. And as soon as I started doing the work, like I was like, oh, there's results. Like this isn't just like a YouTube video anymore. I kind of got to separate that from that. So Kevin, great message, man. And I'm happy you're here, and I'm happy to connect with you. And I thought you were like your early 30s, so
I
I'm
appreciate it.
total it.
No, I just actually turned 45 last week.
Okay.
So
Oh, still young.
doing something right. Tish Hanley. I'm sure you've seen the ads. It works. I've been using it for about a year. So,
Nice.
well, you don't see me. I get that a lot. You don't look that old. Now I would just say because I'm short. Because one thing you'll find out of me, I'm only 5'6", but I mean, I've been short my whole life. So with years of therapy and medication, I finally forgave my parents, and got it. That's it. But anytime I'm get it carded for buying a bottle of wine or something like that, and they're like, oh, you don't like that? It's just because I'm short. If I was 6'2", I'd look 55, not 45. So, but no, I appreciate it.
Oh, cool. And then Ali, over to you, man. You're a younger guy, like myself. Like what? Yeah, delve
So
us into your
I'm
life.
actually I'm 42, and
Get out.
yeah, no, I'm 42.
Okay, now I'm jealous
Wow.
now.
Yeah,
What are they putting the water over there in Australia, man?
I don't think it's the water. I think it's the balance between coffee, alcohol, and all the other sedations that go along with it. Is it's all in moderation. Eating healthy is obviously very important. Actually, when I was on my date last night, Professor, I know you were talking about this behind live. She goes to me, she's scared of dying, and I was just like, "What do you mean you're scared of dying? You're 49." And she looks amazing for her age. Like she really, really looks after herself. She has no kids. All right. And when a woman at that age hasn't got kids, then her pursuit is to make sure that she sees the world, because she missed out on that, having a child. So anyway, so yeah, getting back to what we're talking about with trauma, yes, choosing wisely is extremely important when it comes to females and women. That's what I've learned. If it wasn't for Rich Cooper's Unplugged Alpha, or discovering Rich Cooper's channel, I would not be here with you guys at the moment. That was like 4.5, 5 years ago. And for me, it was actually being with a woman who kept on pushing me until I realized that she checked out. And all I was trying to do was trying to work out what is going on. Why can't we move to the next level? And so I checked out. And when I checked out, so much, everything just changed. That was it. You know what I mean? So I actually went live with Rich Cooper in one of his calls, and we had a nice chat. I think this is about 3.5 years ago, actually. And we were talking about certain things, and one of them is like, hey, the best thing you can do is just leave her. And it was the best thing that I did, was to leave her, because there's absolutely nothing that we can do when it comes to a certain, when there's nothing you can do about it other than it's our responsibility. It's our life. It's up to us to make the choice. That whole victim mindset isn't going to make us, get to where we want to get to. We need to get out of that whole victim mindset just so that, we can move forward. You know what I mean? Because sedation, like, I don't know if you guys think that therapy is sedation.
It can be.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, for
Do
sure.
you know what I mean?
I think it can be, and it can be a crutch, because
Oh,
just like oncologists, they're not interested in a cure for cancer, because if you cured it, how would they keep you coming back? And I think if you're going to, mental health professionals, especially, psychiatrists in general, their job is to make you feel better but it's a temporary thing. And sometimes they'll medicate you. They do that a lot with females. That's why so many females are on antidepressants. Then they become addicted to that and sedated by that. And then they get it to a point where they think, if I get off these pills that are man-made, my life is going to spiral out of control, and I won't be able to. And so I have to keep taking these pills, and I have to keep going back to this person to talk to them. So I think that a lot of them, even though they have good intentions, especially in the beginning, they realize if they cure the problem, if they fix the problem, you won't come back. So I think in that way, it can be a sedation.
And that's so powerful too, Kevin, because their greatest attribute is their emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
Like that's what balances out the masculine. So when they're that core part of them is sedated, it'd be like us taking a pill that turns off our thinking. It's
Mhm. Yeah.
we'd be
Yeah.
kind of nuts. And so yeah,
And,
it's a
and I'll be honest
dangerous
with you, I hate antidepressants, especially, it's almost become a major red flag to me if I'm dating a girl and and I'll straight up ask her, do you have any
Yeah,
chemical
but how
defenses?
would you know if she's on antidepressants?
Yeah, and it blocks the good emotions. So when
Yep.
they're having fun, to them it doesn't even feel like it would be if they weren't full of those pollutants. And I think that's what they are, because I've dated, since my divorce, women that were on the Zoloft, the core boost bar, I think, is another one. And I noticed it affected everything from their mood and their mental state all the way to up to their ability to have an orgasm.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know, because I've dated women that weren't on them, and I've dated women, and I noticed the difference, especially when it comes to sexual activity and the way their emotions are, especially when it's trying to build a connection with another person, of the opposite sex, and be serious. It's very difficult for people that are on antidepressants.
Yeah. I can attest for that, because naturally, after all that I went through, I was on them for a while. And you do, it's what I found, wasn't the Zoloft or anything like that. I don't remember which one it was. It was too many years ago now.
Prozac, Wellbutrin. There's
Yeah. I used to
one of
call them
them.
my happy pills. They were the robot pills. But the way I described it, it was like, it was almost like playing a video game, like you're a third person of yourself. You know how when you're playing a video game, you see the back of your character's head moving around. If you're in a shoot 'em game or whatever the case may be, Grand Theft Auto, stealing cars, you see your player in front of you doing the things, and you're controlling the joystick and you're making it happen. That's what it felt like of myself. It was like I was behind myself and above myself, watching what I was doing and controlling myself, but my movements were sluggish. So when I would say go left, it'd be like left on the joystick. It'd be like go left, go left, go left, and then I'd finally start to move. Right? It was like a delayed reaction
Wow.
from what my
Mhm.
thinking was. So I knew
Wow.
I had to get off of them, and I did. It was the best thing I ever did. But
Yeah, well, good
yeah,
for
I
you.
mean,
I'm glad you got off of them. A story like that, Bentley, I think if you could tell that to a room full of women at a
yeah,
motivational, they would start to think, holy shit, he's making sense. Yeah, I do feel like that I'm watching my life in front of me. And you start, because I'll be honest with you, if a movement came out to start getting rid of those types of medication, drugs is what they are, I would be first in line, because I've seen what it does to women. My mom especially, she's been on ever
Mm.
since I was a kid, has been on some type of psychiatric antidepressant type drug, and now she thinks she can't live without them.
And it's tough because she might not be able to. Like there
Yeah.
just might be too many years and not enough, having connected with her emotions to be able to actually do that. And so I'm with you, Bentley. I got off as soon as I started hearing that they weren't good for you. And I think they can be helpful for a time. I will say that. Like
oh
if you're
yeah,
in a real shit spot, like they can get you out of that rut. But then you get to that point where I couldn't feel my emotions anymore, and it was like I did all this work. I want to enjoy life, and I wasn't having any joy. It was that 3D effect that you're just kind of watching yourself, which is
yeah,
exhausting.
What I've realized when it comes down to taking a substance to take you to a different status or different level of consciousness, the only way to actually, in my theory, is to change your environment. That includes the people
Mm,
where you live, the city, everything. You need to change that whole aspect. Once you've changed it, you have to physically change yourself to go with the new surroundings.
Mhm.
I really like
So
that.
yeah. That's for
that's what
sure.
I've realized. So that's when I left her. Um, I went to paradise. I went to where the best beaches are. There's dolphins in the water. The temperature of the water in the beach was 25 degrees, which is like almost bath water. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, Again, changing your environment where you live and everything can actually make a huge difference in the next level of life. You know what I mean? These sedations, again, when it comes to governments, hospitals, all of those, the circle of the system that we're in, Okay. They've made it so that you are stuck on where you are when it comes to mortgages, your home, your work, and all of these things really, really put you in a certain level where, like, shit, do I have to see that person again? Do I have to go to this place again? And they make you forget that you do have a choice. Everyone has a choice. And we sometimes, these people, women and men, we all forget. We've forgotten, you know, and that's to do with the system and the sedations that they put us on, because they want those mortgages to be paid. They want those accounts to be, paid all the time. You know what I mean? So that's something that I've actually realized.
I think you brought
It's
up a good point there. Like, when something happens, it's like I was talking to my dad not too long ago, because when he retired, he moved from Florida to North Carolina to be closer to me, which is normally the other way around. People retire, they move to Florida, but he already lived there. And I told him, I said, Dad, if you still live in the same house, you still have the same friends, you still do the same thing, and you quote unquote retire, you're not really retiring. You're just quitting work, and you might wither away and die. But you want to move up here, start another chapter. So if you do
Yes.
go through a traumatic event, I think you brought up a good point. It's important. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to pull up and move across the country, but change something about your surroundings. Because like I was saying earlier about if I was still living in Panama City, I would be by the same place that, hey, we used to go smoke weed when we'd skip school. Or, I remember one time we were, snorting cocaine at that hotel. There's all those things that bring back those memories. But when you remove yourself out of that, it helps you move on, and it helps you start over, start a better life, start a new life, however you want to say it. But I think you brought up a great point about removing yourself from that environment. And that's the first step to moving on.
Yeah, and a big part of
absolutely.
your environment is also your circle.
Yeah.
So that was the catalyst, one of the catalysts towards the end, like I said, of finding the friend that I helped come back from his very deep dark place of his depression. Right, is I started surrounding myself with people who are positive. So I'm a known negativity zone. Like, if you're going to be in my life, if you're going through a hard time and you need a hand up, I will absolutely help somebody out. I'm not going to leave them behind, because I've been there. I know what that's like. But if you're going to come in to try and, be negative Nancy and drain it, be a complete drain on things, you're not going to be around for very long. I surround myself with positive people. And we always look to build each other up, be better versions of ourselves and everything, health, fitness, finance, girls, if that's their thing, whatever you're into, whatever your thing is. So, and enjoying your time. Like, I live near the mountains. So my thing for my relaxation, I get on the motorcycle. I go hit the mountains and take my dog, who's sitting on the can hear her scratching back there. We go hit the mountains and we go for a hike and spend our time out there. And it's your environment. Definitely, you're absolutely right on that, Kevin. You gotta, if you're in that bad place, you've got to move. You've got to remove yourself from it. You don't necessarily have to move across the country, but maybe you find your new regular places, your new circle of people, because you can't, if you're going to reach out for help, you can't reach out to the same people that are in the same problem place. You need
Yes,
to reach out to
exactly.
people who have got themselves out of that problem place, because they'll help you get out. Right.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. My mentor, he's from Australia, and I met him through an addiction meeting. And he's like, he really helped me see that getting out of America is going to be very helpful for me. So I made that whole, cross country move, and it's just been life changing. Like, I find that when I'm in the same place where I got sober from, there's a lot of memories that come up. And I think, it's been good because I could face them, right? Like, I didn't want to run from them, but it got to the point where I was living in that loop that you guys are talking about, that, doing the same thing every day. And it was
Groundhog
exhausting. And
Day.
that can be working all day, like, paying the bills. And you're just like, man, like, I'm running out. Like, there's a lot of life, but at the same time, it's very short. So moving, I'm in Mexico City now. It's just been a complete game changer. Like, I'm surrounded by a buddy, Jaron, who you all know, who's, on his mission every day. And it's, it's just lifting me up and making me think about things differently. I did want to say too that, to find that group of guys that could maybe be of that service to you, we do have the Men of Now community, and all four of us are a part of it. D'Angelo, who's tuning in, what's up, brother? He's part of it as well as like Alex, Jared, and all those guys who are not here today. Josh as well. And, we'd love to have you in there to connect on this stuff. Like, this is what I think we're all passionate about, is helping each other grow, being able to share our wisdom and our knowledge. And it's, and in turn learn. So, guys, if that is something that you think could be a benefit to your life, I highly recommend to check it out. It's only $50 a month. And so it's very affordable. I know some groups can be $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. It's like, no, we're not doing that. No hierarchies either. Like, we're all equal here. We're all coming on even playing grounds to learn and get better. So we'd love to have you in. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to any one of us on our Instagrams and connect if you have any questions and stuff like that. So the last thing I wanted to do, and Bentley, I really like your point about part of getting through trauma is finding those things that, you can do to take your mind off some of the, the hardships of life. And before we dive into that, I did want to share that this supplement here, it's called curcumin. However you do that, it helped me get off antidepressants. So it's something I really recommend. It's a really strong Okay.
Yeah.
What it is, it's a concentrated turmeric. So it's like a very high potency anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
And there are studies on curcumin that they do studies with, like Prozac and Zoloft. And they find that, people that take this versus the Zoloft feel better after a certain amount of time. So this one has been super powerful for me. I have videos on my channel as well about supplements, so check those out. I think supplementation is huge for mental health and getting out of depression. Got to be supplementing with the stuff we just don't get in food. So we'll do a whole stream on that someday. Bentley,
absolutely, definitely for supplementing and a big thing for me, and probably for anybody in all reality, is get on your fitness. Like, I used to be a 250-pound fat guy. I've taken some time off. I hurt myself about 1.5 years ago, so I'm just starting to get back at it. But I take a lot of turmeric when I'm bodybuilding because the DOMs are real. You hurt everywhere every day, and so you need that anti-inflammatory to bring it down. That kind of makes sense. I like that. So
that was what I was going to say too. I mean, health and fitness is one thing, but they go together. Working out, that's a supplement in itself. Releasing those endorphins, getting that part. I mean, where sometimes, you hit a point. A lot of people stop when they start to hit that point because they think they're gonna pass out or something like that. But when you make that breakthrough where you release enough endorphins, where you actually get almost an intoxication out of it, that's when the gym becomes a lifestyle, not just a hobby or definitely a chore. When you start looking at exercise, fitness, it doesn't have to be going to the gym. It's anything. Go for a walk, go for a run, anything that will take you out of your comfort zone to get your blood pumping and releasing endorphins. That's one of the best things, especially as men, you can do. Because that's an antidepressant in itself, I think.
And everybody will have their own thing. Like, I know people that are runners and they get the runner's high and they just can't get enough of it. I personally, you put me on a treadmill and put a gun to my head, I'll laugh at you and tell you to pull the trigger. I'm not a runner.
I still don't like running. I can do it, but I don't enjoy it like that. And it kind of weirds me out how people do enjoy that.
I don't know how people enjoy that. But meanwhile, I can lift weights and be sore everywhere every day where it hurts to touch me everywhere. And I love it. Like, I miss that feeling, like hurting myself 1.5 years ago. And I didn't need to take 1.5 years off, but I did have to take a good 6 months off. But I had some personal stuff I did. But I miss that feeling. So I'm just about to start going back at it.
Yeah, you mix that with a halfway decent diet, and anybody whoever says, "Oh, well, eating healthy is hard." What's so hard about chicken and broccoli? I mean, come on, you can make it in 10 minutes. There's nothing hard about eating healthy and just getting out there and doing something. If you can't, especially men, I'm not going to let any man tell me he can't find 45 minutes out of the day to go exercise. And you don't have to have a partner. You don't have to have somebody coaching you. There's so many apps out there. There's so many YouTube channels. There's so many videos dedicated. Just pick one that you like and stick with it for a year and come back to me in that year and tell me you don't look better, feel better, and want to do more.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
stick with it for 6. Yeah. After 6 months, you'll be hooked. Period. You'll see a change.
It's not going to happen overnight.
I was going to say,
if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, especially in America. If it was easy, everybody would be, in shape. But we know that's not the case.
Yeah. I was going to say one thing was that how do we prevent trauma from happening in the first place?
Ooh,
Oh,
I don't know if
that's
you
a
can
deep.
prevent a lot of it. There's some you can, but there's traumas that are going to happen. It's just it's a part of the human condition of living life. You know, if you want to prevent trauma, there's a couch right there. Feel free to sit down all day and don't do anything.
Yeah, or
But
live
you
in a
know that will
bubble.
become traumatic to your health. So
Yeah,
I don't
being
know.
born is a trauma. Is a trauma. Like the minute
Yeah.
you come out of the womb, like
Yeah,
we
right.
start off as a traumatized state, depending upon our parents and if they were emotionally available at the time. That dictates whether that becomes a
In
deep
the
and
80s
great
or
or
90s,
yeah,
yeah, good
yeah,
luck with that. But Ali, I'm not to joke about it. Something you said earlier about when you were with your long term, and that you finally found somebody that gave you courage, just leave, just get out.
Yeah.
For men, especially when there's marriage involved, there's things to lose. We will stay in a bad relationship way longer than we need to. And so that way, when we leave, it might not be as emotionally traumatic, but then it could be financially traumatic, of course,
Mhm.
emotionally traumatic, but it can, I mean, nowadays your life can be ruined. So a big way of avoiding that trauma is when you see that it's not, no relationship is perfect, but if you see that there's too much conflict, there's too much headbutting, there's too much personality difference, listen to your gut.
Yeah.
If your gut's telling you to get out of it, get out of it. There's 3.5 billion other women in the world. I don't believe in soulmates. If there's just one, I'm probably flicked her off in traffic because I was late for work. So I can't believe that there's just soulmates and only one girl out there for me, or I'm the only man for one girl. So I think a big way to prevent it is listen to your gut. If something tells you wrong, get out of the situation sooner rather than later and move on. Because especially as grown men, we know that we can survive on our own skills that can get us there.
Yeah.
And so to stay in a toxic relationship, not that it has to be domestic violence or anything, but if you're not looking forward, at least coming home, if you get to a point where you're like, shit, I want to stay at the gym 10 more minutes, or even worse, instead of going home, I'm going to make up an excuse and go to the bar and have a couple of beers so I don't have to go home. Get out of the relationship, and as men, a lot of men, myself included, it can be hard to do that sometimes, especially you have a lot of time, money, effort invested in it. You don't want to give that up because a lot of us aren't quitters, and sometimes it comes down to competition. If you're a competitive man, you don't want to lose that relationship because that's a loss. And, us that grew up playing sports, if you're very competitive, that can be a crutch in a relationship because you don't want to give up on the relationship, even though you should, because it's a loss and you don't want to take a loss,
I'll tell you
So
what I've learned. I'll tell you what I've learned, right, when it comes to trauma. And it's really, when it comes to a relationship, you have to make sure that you definitely choose wisely. That's the number one thing. The second thing is make sure you got your own place. So if something does happen, kick her out. Okay. Because this is all about control. If a man has lost control, then he becomes a bitch. He becomes a woman in the relationship as well. So the second thing is make sure that you have complete control in just about almost financially everything. You're the captain, you're the driver, drive the ship home, drive that car home. You know what I mean? The third thing is obviously don't let your emotions to get in the way of things. And that's pretty much it. When it comes to those things, that's the first one is the hardest part. How do you know if you've chosen wisely when it comes to picking the right female to be in your life? It's so freaking hard. Okay.
yeah, well, I
Because
mean, that's
as you
something
know,
No,
that
it's
can
hard.
change,
the
It's
first
hard
three
and it's
months is
simple.
the honeymoon stage, and when she's in the honeymoon stage, she's pretending, she's acting. Once you pass that 3 months, you're on the 6 month mark. You can see the little cracks coming through. The list goes on and on and on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, after being separated for almost a year and a half and gone on many dates, and I'm absolutely just loving it and enjoying it, and letting her know that I'm seeing other women as well, more than four. She needs to understand that. Okay. And once she realizes that, she's like, hey, all right, well, maybe so am I as well. And you both get to a certain level where you're like, when she's going to say to you, let's go be exclusive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Anyway, so that's the relationship part when it comes to trauma. But I mean, there's all kinds of other traumas as you know, a car accident is a little bit different. That's actually losing your ability to walk or to function as a normal human being. That's a different kind of a trauma. My brother went through that. He broke one of his legs as in skateboarding, and he went straight downhill. And for him to get back up, I mean, he had to, go through, as what Bentley had said, like go through all of that depression and the pills and who's there for me, who can help me here, I need to go to the toilet, like just the most basic things. I need to get this food, who's going to make me this, and all those things. And then you start realizing that no one else is going to save you but yourself. That's what Rich Cooper's always said. You're the only person that can save yourself. If you really want to survive in this world, no one's coming to save you. You know what I mean? So
I agree with you, and I'm going to add one thing: turning to a higher power, because asking the universe for help in those situations can be very helpful. I think sometimes people can go the Lone Ranger route too much, where it's like, there's no one else but me in this universe. I take care of everything, and I found that in a lot of times of need, I ask, I say, "Life, help me! Like, give me a sign," and then just randomly someone will come in, or a book or a YouTube channel that will just be like spot on. I think recovery meetings can be very powerful too. So kind of like what you guys were talking about, like I hear a lot of codependency, like making sure that you're independent within yourself. So, not needing to depend on any other people is very, that's wise, right? But at the same time, it's a paradox because we do need to depend on people. Like I depend on you three right now to be having this awesome conversation, and to show up and to be able to make this channel. So I think it's definitely like a yin and yang. And I've been in the stage too where I've been too like, I'm low, solo dolo here, and I was just miserable and lonely. So as soon as I started,
and that can happen. I saw a short one time, and I'll find it. I'm going to put it on the Men of Now page. I'm not a David Coggins, post a lot of motivational stuff, but what it talked about is it's a very famous. He's a neuroscientist. He's been on Rogan, but it's a short that he does. But I'm not going to say it verbatim because I can't remember verbatim. But it says, as men, we're not meant to be lone wolf. We're supposed to be a part of a tribe.
Yeah.
And that's, you have your hierarchy within that tribe. You might have a leader, you might have some fault, whatever, but men aren't designed to be lone wolves. I mean, we're pack animals, so to speak. I mean, that's how we can thrive. There's powers in numbers. And, meetings like this, like meetings that we have every month, stuff that gets brought up is stuff that we think about, but we might not think about it at that time, but somebody else bring it and they can elaborate on it. And, we're going to start discussions, at books that I had before, which every meeting we would have at least one aha moment where someone that was reading the law didn't really understand it like a lot of the other people and how they can apply it to their life. And after we explained it to them, it was like, okay, now that makes sense. And if you're a lone wolf, you don't get that if you're not discussing it with other people and collaborating with other people, especially other men. And that's what's so important about having a strong inner circle.
Yeah, 100%.
And to add to that is that all circles have a leader, right? And the alpha is the leader. The alpha is not going to say, who's going to come save me? He knows that he has to save himself, and that's why they follow him.
I will somewhat agree with that, but I'll also contradict that in some, because I grew up in a very remote region in northern Canada, and I'm one of those people you can drop off in the mountains with a 40-pound backpack and come back 6 months later, and I'll have my feet sitting up around a fire in front of my cabin, wanting to know what took you so damn long to get back. So I have that ability, but there's another side to it. I'll leave you with this one: is no empire was ever built by a man who isolated himself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have people around you to make things work. No great company, no great empire was ever built by one man by himself with nothing else. That's the power of networking and putting yourself around other men and other people that have strengths. And you use those strengths. There are things that Kevin is better at than I am. There's things that Joel's better at than I am. There's things that you're better at, Ellie, than I am. But together, we're all stronger. So yes, we have to have the ability to survive by ourselves. But at the end of the day, when you have a good, powerful network, yes, you do have people who will come and save you because they won't let you fail.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Like, a successful person, even if they're in the same sector as you, they want to help you succeed.
Yeah.
You know, anybody that looks at somebody else as competition and they don't want to help them, and they actually want to maybe sabotage them, that's not a person that I want to be around. And
No.
one thing you'll learn about me, Ali, I know we've only had a couple. I hate labels. I hate alpha label. I hate beta label. I hate sigma label. I hate red pill. I hate blue pill. I hate all that manosphere type logic. And it took me a while to realize this within myself, that, you know, a man cannot label himself. A man creates his purpose. He's labeled accordingly. He goes with that, you know, because to be an alpha, you've got to have a team of betas there looking up to you. You know, to be a beta, you have to have an alpha to look up to. You know, Sigma, apparently they're strong leaders, but they're loners, so they don't have a team to lead. You know, red pill has this philosophy, blue pill has this philosophy. Now there's purple, black, all that, you know, so how it's compounding. That's why I don't believe in labels. You know, we you know, I don't want anybody to label me to hurt my intentions or my purpose. But if somebody does label me, I gave them a reason to. You know what I mean? And that's just when it comes to labels, alpha, beta, sig. I don't buy into that. I don't own any stock in that, because a lot of that is just people trying to label themselves.
Yeah. A true leader
that
also knows when to step back and let somebody else lead, because in this particular portion of the journey, that other person is actually more skilled at what we're going through. So they're a better person to be in front. A true leader will do that. They'll put the right person in charge at the right time. That's what a true leader will do.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, right? Like in the spirit of like the alpha, beta, whatever, like everyone can be an alpha in a certain situation, and everyone can also be in the beta. And it's interesting because the word beta is actually wrong in the red pill space. So beta is actually someone who can successfully follow an alpha. So betas are very like important, and obviously quote unquote, because I'm with you, Kevin. Like I don't focus too much on the labels. They've got it wrong. Like the way they talk about a beta is actually the label of, I think it's like a gamma or like delta or something, like omega, something like that. And they just call them betas. Yeah. So I think red pill got it wrong. But
because it almost paints
on that
beta
label,
in like a negative light. Like, okay, you don't have the ability to lead. But look at it like this. You know, like look at any professional team. That guy that has a C on his shirt means he's the captain. You know, a coach made him the captain. Doesn't mean he's the best player. Doesn't mean he can play every position, but they gave him that title, that responsibility, so to speak. But it doesn't mean he's the best at everything, especially on a hockey team. You know, he's not, you know, the captains never wear the goalie out, you know, equipment, but the captain, you know, can't play goalie as good as the goalie. So, you know, everybody plays their own role. And that's the way I'd rather look at it is, you know, you got the guy that's got some leadership skills, that kind of stuff. You name him the captain, you know, but you know, like you were just saying, beta, you know, a lot of guys want to, if you call it a lot of, especially young men, you're a beta. Well, that means I'm a little simp bitch that follows somebody else. You know, and that's why I don't like the labeling, you know, because I mean, like you said, the world needs quote unquote betas, you know, because they're part of the team too. You know,
Absolutely.
They might be better at a lot of things than the alpha, but they're just not the captain. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good way to look at it too. You know,
100%. And yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the labels too. Like, dude, that's so powerful. Like, that's something that really changed my perspective too. Like, even calling myself sober is a label. And so I have to be really careful with that because it creates that ego identity. Even saying I'm a man, right? That's a label. Like, if you go to somewhere where they've never spoken English, you're like, yeah, I'm a man. Just be like, I don't know what a man is, but we got a psychiatrist right over there and they can get you some stuff. It's like, yeah, so I think that's a really powerful spiritual lesson that, I mean, it's not easy. I know we're talking about this, but to separate from any identity, hey, I'm just going to leave it there because that's like a whole nother podcast on how to overcome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
no,
you know,
and ego is a very, very
be a good
dangerous
subject
thing
to bring up, you know, to talk about the negatives about labeling. You know, I mean, and that just doesn't go in the man's world of, you know, like the labels we talked about. You know, everybody gets labeled nowadays as something, you know, especially here in America, you know, Republican, Democrat, you know, and if you identify as one, as a matter of fact, you're not supposed to like the other one, and vice versa. And it's gotten to this day and age that you call somebody, I mean, even if in Canada, right, Bentley, you use the wrong words, they'll put you in jail,
Yep.
and a lot of it has to do with wrongly labeling someone in their eyes,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yep.
that's, that might be something that we could talk about later on, not to say don't, but the power of labels that they have nowadays.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's a good point. And the whole thing, that's to me, it's one of the greatest oxymorons of all time, is the common phrase everybody wants to use nowadays, like diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
Well, that's like jumbo shrimp. They don't go together.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
have diversity and conclusion and inclusion, because diversity is segmentation.
Mhm.
Inclusion is everyone. You have to
Yeah.
decide, which one do you want? There is no such
Yeah.
thing as diversity and inclusion.
No, I never thought about that, but you're 100% right on that.
You've
Those-
segmented it in
yeah,
diversity.
yeah.
Inclusion
You
is
can have a
everyone.
bigger shrimp, but it's not a jumbo shrimp. There's
It's still a shrimp.
yeah, yeah,
It's like government, or we can use the other one. We can use government worker.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or government money. It's all taxpayer money.
Yeah,
There's
government
no
money.
such
That's
thing as
mine. I
government
paid it
money.
in taxes.
It all comes from us.
Yeah.
So, well, hey guys, I got a few things I got to knock out, man. It's a great meeting. I can't wait to have more. And Joel, like you were saying, the men of now, I don't want to boast, but I mean, we're a game changer when it comes to men's groups, because a lot of the men that we've been a part of another group, so we can take the attributes from the groups we've been in, apply it to this one, and this it's going to be great. I look forward to more of these.
Yeah, a lot of positive stuff
So,
happening
Kevin.
here. I like it. So
Yeah. All right, guys. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kevin.
Have a good one.
Thanks,
Good to
guys.
see you.
Bye.
I want to. Hey, Ali. I see your eye. Wanted to bring back to a point, like the labels, right? Like going back to trauma, right? And Bentley, like you said, like you had to stop calling yourself the label of a victim,
Yeah,
to
100%.
be able to heal. So that can happen with or depression, right? I remember I would always be like, I'm depressed. I'm depressed. I'm a depressed person. I have anxiety, right? And that became just a story. And anytime I would see something that contradicted that, I'd be like, no, that can't be, because I'm depressed, because I'm anxious, right? And so, yeah, labels are super powerful, and we're definitely going to do some talks on that, guys. So
Cool.
Stay tuned for those. Any other thoughts, Ali and Bentley, that you guys have, or anything on your mind that has been impressive? I know we've been all over the place, and it's been
Yeah, look,
great convo.
off subject, the whole men of now, when it comes to promoting as much as we can, because there's not enough views when it comes to people watching at the moment, and adding more high value men to the actual group would be good to get more feedback on everything. The affiliate link that Alex has made, I want to promote that on another channel of mine,
Please.
as much as I can, so that we can get more men in. I mean, the thing is that if we do, anyway, that's what I want. I'm working on that just for now. The other thing I was going to say was that when I go out in public and do my podcasts, right, there's a lot of things that I have to bring back a little bit when it comes to people accepting the truth when it comes to what we are talking about, because they're so brainwashed with mainstream media's way of thinking, that some of the stuff that I'll bring up will most likely not make them happy.
Yeah.
Trigger.
Right. And
Trigger
so
warning.
yeah, it is a bit of a trigger warning. Other than that, the other thing I was going to say was that CEOs.
Yep.
So one person will control the company at the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely. And,
Right.
Alex
And
is
we're
teaching
talking
me a bit about this. Yeah. So keep going.
One person controls the company. So while everyone else around the meeting table is just a beta.
I guess.
So you got the alpha, you got the beta.
I think what's important though to remember too is that all those betas then are alphas within their own respective.
You mean a network of people within that network and network? I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah.
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 But still, ultimately, in my eyes, there's always going to be one leader, no matter for wherever you
Okay.
go, whatever you're going to do, wherever you're going to be, there's going to be one person in that village or group, country, that's going to be at the top. Look at Putin. You know what I mean? The president,
Hmm.
the dictators of the world. You know what I mean? And it's all about if they can kill, if they have the threats, if they have that power of actually destroying something, then that's where people start going, all right, so I need to back off because he's much more powerful than me. When you go to the gym, there's always going to be someone more stronger than you. When you go to the bank, there's always going to be someone more richer than you.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's what I'm trying to
I
say
do.
when it comes
Yeah.
to
Okay.
that whole part of someone who's always next to you is going to be higher than you. Someone out there is going to be much more richer than Jeff Bezos. Someone out there is going to
Yeah.
be much more richer than Elon Musk. And the risk on, we just don't know who the fuck that person is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I get you. I totally agree with you. Like, it's like I think we're all right. Like we're all seeing it from different angles, and absolutely. And I'm curious. Like, so do you think like then, like, let's say you're hanging out with a buddy, like maybe in dating he's the alpha, right? Because he knows
Mhm.
more, he's better looking. But then
Yes.
you go to like I don't know, you go to a running club, and then the skinny
Yeah.
guy is like the alpha, right? Like, you think they can switch it all, even within like a dynamic of like
Uh,
two people?
I mean, look at Aquaman. If Aquaman walks into a restaurant, every single freaking girl is going to look at the Aquaman for sure.
Oh, and that's okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, look, if Jared walks into a restaurant, everyone's going to stare at him, especially being a white 6 foot whatever that he is. He's tall and he's jacked, and women are going to stare at him because he's got that look about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they want to know who that person is. They want his seed.
Okay. Oh,
They
you're.
want his seed. You get what I'm trying to say? So
I want to see.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I get what you're saying.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Oh
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
it's just
that's a
part
good
of
point.
evolutionary psychology. It's part of the whole aspects of genetics. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? So
Well,
Yes.
I don't know. Spend as much time as in the wild as I have, you see some weird shit too. I have actually seen wolf packs turn on their alpha. So you can get to a point where you're too dominant, and you'll be voted out. Okay,
yeah,
Putin's running things, but there could be a coup would take him out. It's happened before in history, right?
yeah, of course it has.
Caesar and Brutus, right? Like these things do happen. So
But that comes back down to not being able to provide for the actual pack. And if the wolf is going in a different direction, in the wrong direction, and they can see there's not enough food within those trails, then of course they're going to pick someone who actually has a certain smell, because that alpha does get old. He's going to start losing his sense of smell. It's about making the right decisions.
yeah, to some degree.
You're you're a deep thinker, Ali.
Yeah.
Always,
You're
man.
definitely-
Always
you're definitely thinking
got
out
to
there.
think deep, man. Think deep.
Hey, we did preface this by we're going deep today, so
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to add that we never did before when we were on supplements, and I forgot about it, kind of just hit me now, is we're all at the age that none of us are spring chickens, none of us are 20 years old. But if you are a 20-year-old guy, something I can recommend that I certainly found out about myself a little bit late in life is you should know your levels. So go get a blood panel pulled. Find out what your testosterone levels, your hormone levels are. You should know all of that, because that does make a massive difference. It did for me. Part of coming through is I had some testing done and found out how low I was, and we raised those levels up. And there was a serious shift with that alone. And you add that to the stuff that I went through at the same time, and it was a compound effect. But it's one of those things where as you get on in life and as you age, your natural hormone levels are going to slowly start to drop, and you'll lose like 1% a week, and you won't notice it. And then if you do discover it and you get it brought back up, it'll be a large shift up. You'll really notice the change. It'll be one of those things where you didn't even know how bad you felt until you felt good.
Dude,
And it can be
Bentley.
really shocking. And the reason I say for a young guy to go get your panels pulled and find out what they are is, you know, where do they put you when they go to put you into a range? I got lucky. I was a pretty good athlete as a kid. I actually played hockey for Hockey Canada. And so when they found out for me, they actually found an old blood panel that was pulled when I was 17 years old, because they actually measure testosterone levels in athletes when they're looking for draft, because it can determine competitiveness levels. So it's one of the things that they actually use. So we actually had something when I was 17 for some God knows unknown strange reason. So we knew where to put me. And I was in the top 5% of people at that time at my age group. So they knew to put me up into the top 5% at my current age. But if they don't know, they're just going to bring you into the range. And you may end up being put in the middle or in the bottom, and you're maybe naturally a high-end guy, or vice versa. You might be naturally a low person. They don't know, and they bring you in, give you supplements, build you up, put you up in the top end, and it could really throw you for a loop, because all of a sudden now you're dealing with hormones at levels you never dealt with in your life. And you could go through some difficult times with that, which is what most the bodybuilders go through with doing the steroids and that, because they put themselves at a level far beyond anything they've ever dealt with. So that's where they get the quote unquote roid rage from. It's because they're dealing with levels they've never mentally and physically dealt with, and they don't know how. So
okay. So yeah. I like what you're saying. Like, it's really important to get your blood then to
get
find
it done.
that out.
Just so you know, just so you have a baseline, you know, get it pulled, get a baseline, because you're at 20 years old, you're not going to need anything, but you know where you belong in the future.
Oh, that's great advice, Bentley. I appreciate that.
In Australia, they're very, very limited when it comes to giving out those details. There's no TRT here, guys, just letting you know.
Really?
There's no TRT. They really want to keep men they want to keep them as pussies here in Australia. Let's just say that. Yeah. They don't want men to get strong here in the whole aspect of the government hospital food circle that we're in here in Australia. They want you to be stupid and slow and dumb. They want you to be that slave mindset here. I worked that out about 2.5, 3 years ago. I went to my doctor and I'm like, hey, I think my testosterone's low and I'm just about to hit 40. What can I do? They're like, just take these. And it's just like off the shelf, you know, supplements. They cannot give you TRT. TRT is illegal in Australia. So, yeah. So
there's a, you know,
I'm always eating Scotch fillets, anything to do with red meat. I love it. Yeah, of course there's other ways to boost your testosterone naturally. But as I heard from Joel and Jared, I think they're taking, I don't know what they're on.
Yeah.
And I would love to go and find out, because you're in Mexico. If you guys are in Mexico, of course, you know, you're getting all the best stuff. And it makes me want to go, all right, look, I go to the gym as much as I can, like, you know, 6 days a week, easily go there for at least an hour and a half, I do full body workouts as much as I can. But the gains that I would like to see, like, you know, proper gains, you have to be on steroids. You're just going to have to be on steroids. You know what I mean?
Not really. You know, I'm in my 50s, and like when I hurt myself a year and a half ago at 50 years old, I had a 6-pack and was down to 6-pack. I was down to 10% body fat. Looked pretty good. I was still putting on muscle. And like I said, 5 years earlier at 45, I was a 250-pound fat guy. So you can do it. It's work. The older you get, the harder it is to do. There's no two ways about it. But you can do it. Just you know, make sure you're eating correctly, and you know, make sure you're working out enough. One big thing, you say you're doing full body workout 6 days a week. That might be too much. You also need to rest your muscles to allow them to recover to grow. If you don't let them rest and they don't let them recover properly, then they won't grow.
Okay, absolutely. Right. Rest is so key, man. I want to touch a bit on that too, like with the T stuff. Yeah, I've never been on it. I've always been natty. I'm a very skinny guy, so it's hard for me to put on muscle. And I've been doing keto for the last 3 years. So only
Yeah.
until 2 weeks ago I started eating carbs again, and we're on like a mid-range dose of TRT. So I didn't get my blood works done, and that I think was a mistake. I'll be frank with that. And at the same time, living with Jaron, who's been on TRT for 18
A long
years.
time. Yeah.
Yep. I did trust his judgment, and he's
Mhm.
not obviously letting us go too high. We're going to cycle off eventually, so it's very regimented. And I feel so good, dude. Like, Alex, to your point, like I know you say you've never been on it. Like, I feel grounded. I'm going on dates. I'm not anxious. I'm just like there, present. Sleep's good. I've gained like I think 8 pounds in the last 2 weeks,
Nice.
which is
Good.
Wow.
sick. I think a
That's
lot of it is water weight, but
Oh yeah.
it's good to see that scale go up, and dude, we can just lift and not get sore. We're just going like hard every day. So Ali, if that's something you have considered, I would consider it. I'm only 29 too, so I don't think I need to be on it. Kind of like Bentley, what you were saying, but I'm just like, you know what, I'm doing well in life. I'm gonna experiment. Like,
Yeah.
what worst case I die, best case I die. That's kind of my mindset.
Oh my
for
god,
myself.
nah, man, that's the worst thing to it. What's the
We
point? You're
all suffer
29,
from
you
the
know what I
same
mean?
terminal disease called life. Ain't nobody getting out alive.
Dude, right?
That's all there is to
I,
it. Ain't nobody getting out alive.
yeah.
You know, another way that I experimented this actually about 2.5 months, 3 months ago, actually. It, look, I'll say it. I didn't ejaculate for 4 weeks,
Mhm.
and
Good.
holy shit, the actual the grounding, as you were talking about, was full on. So much more strength. It was actually good. So experiment with the whole 1 week on, or work out the best way. But coming every day does not help. I'll tell you that right
Ooh,
now. Right.
no.
So you need to experiment. Once a week is good. You know what I mean? Or maybe twice a week or whatever. There's got to be a circle for you. You have to work out what's good for you. And I worked out my method. Let's just say that. Even though I saw her last night, I was on a date last night, and I'm going out on a new date tonight, and I have to control some of that when it comes to strength and the mental part of it as well. So otherwise, you go into the world and you're like freaking numb. You know what I mean? You need to be strong when you go out. When you step out of that door, you need to be really strong and confident. You know what I mean? So I don't know if TRT can boost that, but you know, there's this.
Yeah, I like what you're saying about the no fap stuff. Like, yeah, when I go a few days without cranking it, I'm just like, or having sex, it's just like focus is there. You're just walking around like you don't care anymore. You just don't care because you're so within yourself. So I think that's a great way to boost testosterone as well. And like you just said, you got to find what works best for you, and that means trial and error. I say the whole like, be wise with it too. Like, that's like, oh, I'm gonna live tomorrow or die tomorrow, whatever. I'm gonna go do heroin. It's like, okay,
No, don't do that.
No. Yeah, none of
there's
that
a
stuff.
gauge to it.
But
Yeah,
look, my point, what I'm saying is that the whole no fab thing it's not about the fab. Forget about that. I'm not even talking about that because I don't even do that. You know what I mean? The whole pornography thing, fab, blah 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 blah. That's just straight out the door. Forget about it. It's just about her taking it out and making sure that she takes it out.
I
Why
hear
should
you.
you do it? Why should you have to do that? You don't need to do that at all yourself.
Yeah,
That's just
yes, I think that's the the ideal there
right.
too. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
on porn for a little over almost 5 years now, and yeah, it's something I really recommend to guys to get off and really
It's
develop your
unrealistic.
own sexuality. Yeah.
It's super
Oh yeah.
unrealistic. Yeah,
Dude,
it's really bad.
it's so addictive. We will definitely have some combos and podcasts coming up here on FAP and all that stuff and benefits of like how to raise your testosterone. We are coming up to time here, so I will wrap with a couple of things here. Back to the supplements and testosterone. There's two I do take on a regular basis. Three actually. One is DIM, super powerful.
Okay.
If you guys don't know what it does, basically we have a certain amount. How does it? Okay, this one's with estrogen, so it reduces the amount of estrogen that's available. So very helpful. And then we have boron. Boron we only are able to use a certain percentage of testosterone we have. I think it's like 10% or something. Like, correct me if I'm wrong on that for sure. And basically, it allows us to use a little bit more. So it gives a little extra boost. There's one more I have in the cupboard here. It's called DHEA.
DHEA.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just started taking it. Do you know what that does? Actually,
I don't remember anymore. I went down the biohacking thing, God, about 10 years ago when I got onto it, and I've forgotten. I know what I take. I have my 20 some pills I take every day.
Yep.
I'm in Canada. It gets dark. Like, it's already dark here at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon this time of the year for us. So I take a shitload of vitamin D at this time of the year. I take 15,000 units of vitamin D at this time of the year because we just don't get the sunlight. So, that's one thing I can tell you. Another thing for your mental health and your overall happiness, well-being is vitamin D, which you get from the sun. If you're not going outside, or you're not getting it, if you're in the northern latitudes or something like that during the winter time, you need to supplement with vitamin D and get that up, because it will change your mood. It affects it a lot. I can tell. I don't even have to look at the calendar anymore when it's time to go from 10,000 units to 15,000 units a day. It's like I'll be going along and be like, oh, it's time to switch. I can just feel it overall in my mood.
It's like instinctual, right? You're just like, the body's
I've been doing
like, okay,
it for
it's
so
time.
many years that it's just like, I don't need to look at the calendar. I don't need to worry about it. I know that, okay, it's time to switch.
Dude, that's a great piece of advice, man. And one thing I'll add to that is to take vitamin K with it too.
Yes.
Because and I learned this from Rich Cooper, actually. So shout out.
Yeah.
I know that vitamin D can build up calcium in the bloodstream. So vitamin K will help with
a little bit of vitamin K to regulate that. And the other one is zinc. If you're taking zinc, zinc will actually help help your free testosterone levels. So testosterone is think of it like a Velcro type chemical in your body. It likes to stick to everything. So taking zinc keeps it from sticking and binding to other things and keeps it free, so it's actually usable. Because if you have high testosterone levels, but it's not free testosterone, it's not going to do anything for you. It's stuck to something else. It can't be used.
Okay.
So you need to keep it free. And when you take, if you're taking anything more than about 25 milligrams of zinc a day, you actually need to balance zinc out with copper, because too much zinc without any copper in your system will actually turn your blood acidic.
What I was going to say was, guys, that if you have to take certain supplements for whatever reasons, like let's just say vitamin D, change your environment.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I live in Canada. There's not much I can do about it.
Change your environment.
Only up here for 7 hours a day, man.
So that you don't have to take those supplements at all, and just focus on actually being outside, being in the sun, and get the true form factor of the actual, the rays. You know what I mean? The vitamin D naturally is always going to be the best. You know what I mean? Instead of taking supplements and certain things. But that's just, my thought. But Bentley, how long have you been in Canada for? Like, have you thought about moving down to Florida?
I've lived in Canada all my life, but I spent over 30 years running my specialized trucking business. So I was all over the U.S., Canada, and the U.S. So
can you run it from Florida?
Oh God, run my business from Florida. I can, but I'm Canadian. I can't be down there for more than 6 months.
Yeah, right. Okay, so
Ali's trying so hard to get you to move.
If anything, I'll go somewhere cheaper. We're like Mexico City. I'll go hang out with Jaron and Joel.
Oh yeah,
let's go, dude.
So I've got a buddy in Europe who keeps bugging me to go over there and whatnot as well. So I'm getting the e-life up and running, and that'll free up life and change things a little bit. So heading that direction.
Hell yeah! Oh yeah, we're all gonna meet one day for sure. Freaking awesome. Yeah. So guys, I think, we covered a lot of things today, and just want to say I appreciate everyone who's come on and commenting. Chris, D'Angelo, Pedro as well. Great to see you guys again. And as always, reach out if you have any questions, or, you want to talk to any of us about any certain thing. I know Chris says he would like to have a chat with Ali. So, absolutely, great minds think alike. So got a Bible Tracks tribe. as I always say. And to end it off, yeah, just if you guys want to go around and just say where people can find you, what you're doing in the internet space, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, my Instagram is on here, obviously. Also, an easy one to get a hold of me is LinkedIn. It's just my name, LinkedIn/Bentleyham. Not hard to find. I'm a business to business specialist, and doing what I did gave me the opportunity. I was on the road for over 8,000 days in my life. So that's given me the opportunity to walk through the doors of probably well over, we did some math, and conservatively, I've walked through the doors of well over 20,000 businesses in my life. So for me to go into a business and look at it and go, well, you could alter this, you could streamline that, and instantly your business is more efficient and can tell you how to scale it very quickly. Because I've seen so many examples. I worked for enterprise companies. I worked for Caterpillar, Komatsu, Liebherr Cranes, and stuff like that. So I know how they run, how they do that side of it, and I know the operational side. So when you take all of that, I'm a fantastic consultant that I can just take your business and go streamline, scale, grow, on to the next. So that's my main gig of what I do. Some marketing involved with that as well, but primarily it's business consulting. And my website as well. It's Hammerhead Business Solutions, but that's too damn long to type. So hammerheadbs.com, because everybody remembers the BS stories.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. And then Ali, to you.
Yeah, look, Instagram, as you can see, Ali's Coughs. I'm just working on a podcast that's outdoors and a dating show. So all outside, pretty much something completely different. And I haven't thought of a name yet. So I really, really would like some feedback on names that would, that I can actually put up as the podcast. At the moment, I'm using Lovers Cups. That was for the dating site. And a lot of people think, oh, is this a sex dating show? And no, because it's got lovers in it. So they think it's a sex thing. No. So I had to completely change that. And I'm looking for something that everyone can say that is easy to say. I'm looking for a brand name, basically, for the podcast name. So if you guys got any suggestions, love to hear it. But other than that, yeah, that's what I'm working on full time at the moment. My van is, I'm still trying to rig it up. I'm doing cable management on it. I've got a second camera and waiting for more gear to come from Amazon. And then hitting the road as soon as I got everything all running, I'm going to start going live outdoors. I'm going to do street talk and all that kind of stuff. So just get random people to start talking shit, and that is going to get the views. I'm being serious. You know what I mean? And hopefully to be hitting 300 grand a year on the advertisement spaces within the podcast live.
Nice.
That's what I'm awesome, man. Great goals, man. Got to have your goals. That's awesome. I'm thinking the Ali C show. The Ali. Do you guys remember the Ali G show? Like the first
Ali G. Oh, Ali G. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Put it into a little suggestion box, and I'll just chuck it in there and see what happens. So, yeah.
All right. Awesome, guys. And you guys will see these guys more on the channel for sure. We're gonna have, there's so many topics to cover, and this is what I'm passionate about. So I do YouTube as well. Sobriety University. Started a couple years ago, just trying to, try to find some supplement income, and it's turned into way more than that. And I'm just so happy, and I love doing this stuff. And it gives me strength and gives me hope. And they say a big thing is service as well in recovery. Like you want to be able to give back what you've been given. And so I think having an outlet to do that is something that can be really powerful. Even if you just help one person, that's all. I promise you'll go to sleep at night feeling whole and complete. So other than that, yeah, we have the Men and Now community, which we've talked about a couple of times in the channel. I welcome anybody to come in that has that passion to level up and connect with other guys that are also on their mission. It's powerful. That's all I'll say. Like, you got to experience for yourself if you've never been in a men's community, and the stuff you're going to learn and grow from it will be, it'll be more than money can buy. And, if money's tight, that's why we have it at a pretty affordable, $50 a month. That's what, like 3 times going to Chipotle. I think of everything in either sushi or Chipotle. So I can definitely, definitely go for that. Other than that, yeah, personally, I do some video editing as well. So we have a service that helps you reach bigger people on YouTube and helps grow your brand and kind of do the thing that you do. Most people that do YouTube don't want to do, which is video edit. I love doing it, so I'm fine with it. A lot of people just want to show up in front of camera. And so if you are thinking of starting a YouTube channel, or you have one and you're trying to get it off and running, maybe, you have your other job and you're just finding that you don't have the time to shoot a video and then spend an hour and a half editing. That's what we're here for. Alex and I, who wasn't able to attend today. So feel free to hit me up on Instagram and we can sit down with you, have a call, see like kind of what your channel strategy is and all that, and then go from there and really help you get out and grow your brand and get your message out, because that's what we're all here to do at the end of the day. So other than that, yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for coming on. Bentley, Ali, it was great to talk to you and meet you. Also, guys, connect with Kevin from earlier if you have any questions for him, and we will look forward to the next one, and have a great night, guys. Peace.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one.